Chapter 17, June 11. I found something tonight that I didn't know was missing, but am I ever glad to get it back? This has happened to me a lot in the last few months. I mean, finding something, or maybe I should say discovering something that I didn't know was gone. I'm not talking about a favorite shirt or anything like that. The things I keep discovering are intangible. I can't see or touch them or even put any kind of label on them. The real importance of them is how they make me feel. Like I said, this has been happening to me a lot in the last 2 months. And all of these things I've been finding disappeared with mom. I know this sounds really weird, but an example is like the comics in the Vancouver Sun. Before mom, I read them every morning before school. I had read them ever since I can remember. It got so, like, if I didn't read them because the paper was late or I was late or something, I felt like I missed part of the morning. Not that they were so uproariously funny or anything, but because they made me smile just a little. They made me feel kind of good. It was something I just did. Reading them gave me some sort of completion. Like my morning routine was finished and it was time to move on to school. Whatever. I couldn't read them after mom died. I couldn't read anything after mom. I'd read the first two comics or even the first page in a book and realized I couldn't remember what I just read. I had no memory of it and absolutely no concentration to continue on. You can just imagine how hard this made school. Anyways, I can't even remember what I did with my mornings last fall. That's how bad my memory got. All I can remember is that every day was total chaos. It was routine enough, just like completely confused. It was on the Christmas holidays, 7 months after mom died, that I discovered the comics again. At first, I read only one or two, short ones like Family Circus and Bizarro. Then, after a few days, I got through Foxtrot and Overboard. By the end of the holidays, I was reading all of them again, and I've kept it up. It's just one of those things that puts a little order back into my life. Besides, they can be funny every once in a while. I just realized something. I even read a whole book this spring, cover to cover, and I liked it too. I read Lord of the Flies. What got me started on all this was hearing my dad laugh. When I say laugh in this case, I don't mean like a little chortle or gwaff or whatever you'd call it. I mean one of those big, thunderous, side splitting outbursts that really mean something, like Grandpa used to have. It happened when Emily and I were down in the basement watching TV. Dad and Jen were in the living room above us. I don't know what they were doing or even talking about, but that's besides the point. I just heard Jen's voice, and then Dad broke into this big, happy laugh. The kind of laugh that comes from deep down inside of you. The kind that takes over the moment. The kind that is only possible when whatever you heard or saw was the focus of your attention. Consuming is what I would call it. No kidding, it was just a consuming laugh. And the thing of it is, it can only come from someone who's completely relaxed. Right then, Dad's laugh was the focus of my attention. It had been a long, long time since I had heard it, and it made me feel so good. It made me think of a lot of things, but mostly about how he used to be funny, about how much fun we used to have, and I didn't realize until that moment how much I'd missed that. Now I'm wondering how many other things I'm missing that I don't even know about, and if I'll ever get them back. Chapter 18, June 13th. Joanne phoned me at 7 o'clock this morning to find out what I'm going to wear tonight. Are you nuts, Joe? I don't plan on getting up for 3 hours. The last thing on my mind is what I'm going to wear to Ortega's party. I thought I'd wear my black stretch lace top and my white jeans. Good. I'm glad for you. Now can I go back to sleep? On second thought, I can hear Joanne drumming her fingers against something. She was ignoring me. This was going to take a while. I clutched my knees and curled up on the bed. On second thought, I'll wear my stretch top and black jeans. Yeah, black jeans. I yawned. Even better, you'll look exquisite. Totally awesome. Now I'm going back to sleep. And shoes. Should I wear my chunky heels or strappy sandals? Chunky heels, I thought a best answer. If I didn't, she'd only drag this out by agonizing over it anyways. Besides, her chunky heels made her taller than me. Good, you're dressed. Now I'm going to hang up. Pam, what about my hair? Joanne, at this minute, I don't want to hear about your hair. We're going to a lousy party with the same people we see every day. Not exactly to dinner with Jacob Dillon. Mike's parents will be there. In fact, it was their big idea. We'll probably be forced to play Twister and eat Pringles. We won't even get to watch Carl Jenkins puke. Now, I want to get back to sleep. Fine. Just fine for you, Pam. You have been stuck in the house after school all week. This made me feel a little sorry for her. Joanne's a real social compared to me. She likes to be around people. She likes to talk and she likes action. She gets bored out of her skull when we go walking in Lynn Canyon Park. Still, we've always got along, probably because when we're together, she gets to talk all the time, while all I have to do is pretend to listen. This works for both of us. When I'm quiet, it makes her think that what she has to say is important, while it leaves me to think about other stuff. Anyways, her mom sure picked the punishment to fit the person. For Joanne, being stuck in her room was truly traumatic. For me, well, for one thing, I don't think anyone would notice. Okay, I said, what were you thinking for your hair? I tried to get out of the party right to the end. Dad was over at Nana Jean's fixing a leaky toilet. When he phoned to say he'd be longer than he planned, I thought I had made it. Someone had to stay home and care for Emily. That's okay, Dad, not a problem. I'll stay home and watch Emily. You take as long as you want. Dad was quiet as he thought about this. It must have been the calm in my voice that gave me away. Oh, no, you won't. You're going to that party. I don't know what it is about him. I'm sure that if he could arrange my life for me, he wouldn't leave a single day where I could just be by myself. I'll look after Emily. He didn't say how he was going to do this and fix the leaky toilet, but 5 minutes later the phone rang. It was Jen. She'd be right over. I wasn't wearing anything devastating or anything like that, just this sleeveless white shirt Jen had a lady at one of her executive stores pick out for me and a pair of khaki pants. But when I opened the door a while later, Pam, you look stunning, is what Jen said. She didn't come in right away, but stood there just looking at me, moving her head back and forth like she couldn't believe it. Absolutely stunning. She gave me this great big hug. It was nice of her to compliment me, but I thought she was overstating it just a tad. Okay, I guess the tan I picked up in the canyon goes well with my white shirt, and maybe my hair being curled kind of works for me. Aside from that, I'd swept just a little blush high up on my cheeks. Oh, and I used that nasty red lipstick Joanne insisted I get because it looked deadly on me. But only a tiny touch. But me? Stunning? I thought Danielle Higgins set the standard for that. What's wrong? Isn't that an okay word? Yeah, I shrugged. It's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's cool. It's just, I've never really thought I could look anything like that. Jen gave me another big hug. It's not only your looks, Pam, you're a beautiful young lady, both inside and out. And with her arm around me, she steered us into the house. I'm almost embarrassed to write this down. It's just that it made me feel kind of good, kind of, for a moment, happy about myself. Not that I believe it or anything, but because Jen sounded totally serious. I don't think she was trying to con me at all. If she was pretty good at it. You may as well get used to it, she continued. You're going to be turning heads for many years to come. I started to get squirmy. I'm not used to being told I'm pretty good stuff, except by my family, of course, and they're not going to tell me anything else. Jen must have clued in that I was becoming seriously embarrassed. She changed the subject right away. Where's that Emily I'm supposed to be looking after? Emily came in from the kitchen, wagging her tail, loudly squeaking her plastic football. Jen called her over. Good girl. That's Dino music you're playing, Em. I kind of flinched. Dino? Yeah, Jen bent down to pet Emily. You know, like dynamite. Dynamite music. Music that is. She couldn't think of an appropriate word. Truly good, I supplied. Yeah, like that. She looked up at me. I began to shake my head. Not a very good word? No, it's not, I said. In fact, it sucks. Jen started laughing. Pam, you must think I'm a real doofus sometimes. I think my mouth actually dropped open at that one. Doofus? She laughed harder. I just threw that one in. I knew you'd like it. Tony Lasserman and John Robble were already at Joanne's when I got there 15 minutes later. Joanne's wearing an entirely different outfit than the one she decided on the phone at 7. A lime green blouse with a pale yellow skirt. She looks good, if not a little scary. The black stuff around her eyes gives her this sort of bulbous eyed, cadaverous appearance. I still haven't convinced her it isn't necessary to bring out her eyes that much. Tony has made a bit of an effort. His shirt is new, and his hair, normally thick and curly, lies flat against his head, held there by about 95 tubes of gel. John, my so called date, hasn't strained himself for the occasion. He's got a lot of mileage out of his black Nike t shirt. I'm sure he expects to get about 1 million more. We don't have to walk far. Mike lives on the street where the house is back onto the canyon. Tony and John walk behind Joanne and I. Tony wants to take a detour and see if Miss Marshall is still down there searching. I heard she isn't, says John. I heard Mr. Marshall had her taken away to the hospital. Oh, yeah? Yeah. She broke her foot and wouldn't go to the doctor. They took her out screaming and swearing. Mike was down there and saw the whole thing. They had to wrap her up so she wouldn't scratch anyone's eyes out, and her kids were crying. I guess it was a pretty nasty sight. I can't help but feel sorry for Mrs. Marshall. I know she's gone quite crazy, but at least searching for Chrissy gave her a shred of hope. Now she'll wake up to stare at white walls every morning. Ah, the kid's not down there anyways, John says with confidence. Darla Miller's father saw her in the parking lot at the center with a guy in a white van. By the time he called the police, the van was gone. Joanne had heard differently. I don't know about that. Our neighbor was walking her dog the day she disappeared. She said she saw a red Toyota leave the canyon with a little girl wearing a pink sweater in the front passenger seat. She didn't get a good look at the driver. Tony listens to both stories. He stuffs his hands in his pockets and shrugs. Who knows what happened? Maybe no one ever will. We arrived at Ortega's. As the hand painted sign instructs, we walk straight into the basement family room through the open garage door. Most of our class is already there. Mrs. Ortega has set up a table with a giant bowl of strawberry punch in the center of it. Huge strawberries bob around. We each fill a glass. She has strung banners like "Good luck, graduates" and "All the best" across the walls. She's hung streamers and curly ribbons and sprinkled shiny confetti over the tablecloth. Mrs. Ortega is obviously really into this graduation thing. We stand around the punch table, sipping our drinks. My, Joanne says, looking around us. It's all so civilized. I pass Joanne a bowl of potato chips. Pringle, my dear. She sniffs. I never touched them myself. How about a cigarette? You'd better not, I tell her. If Mike's parents don't come down on you, you know I will. Whatever you say, Miss Collins. No need to get tough with me. Joanne sighs. God, I'm glad to get out of the house. This may be dry, but at least I get a break from watching my mother vacuum the halls. Linda's been hiding from me at school. If I see her, I'm going to personally pierce another hole through her big flabby lips and hook them shut with a padlock. Can you believe how she went on about what I said to Bartel in front of my mother like that? What is a coot, anyways? My dad won't tell me. He's kind of ticked off. I don't know, but I'll ask Jen. It sounds like the kind of word she'd know. Mandeep and Danny are playing pool at the other end of the room. Danny is useless at it. He misses the cue ball 4 times out of 5. Mandeep is like some kind of master. You'd think she invented the game. She's sinking them one after another like she's been playing all her life. I think you're lying to me, Danny says to her after she sinks 3 in a row. He wears a big grin. No way is this the first time you've ever played. Mandeep is giggling as she takes aim again. It is! No kidding! The very first time in my entire life. She sinks another ball. I don't believe this. They both start laughing. They look real good together. John and Tony are throwing darts with Mike Ortega. Mike is becoming seriously loud and cheerful. I think he's just trying to give his party a kickstart. Tony is throwing one bullseye after another. John can't even come close. Pretending frustration, John insists he need a bigger target. Mike, go stand against the wall, will ya? And turn around. I want to see how close I can come to your butt. Mike laughs. Yeah, right, man. He thinks for a minute. Hey, where's Darla Miller's brother? That guy that wears a spiked collar and combats? Didn't I see him come in? Yeah, there he is. By the bar. He's nuts enough to do it. See all those holes and rings through his skin? Probably get off on stopping a few darts. They all laugh. Darla Miller's brother is here, leaning against the bar with one heavy boot resting on the rung of a stool. Linda Yip is perched on top of that stool, sort of hidden out of sight behind his combats. I recognize her by the plume of green hair rising above his shoulder. She sticks her head into the room momentarily, like some kind of paranoid turtle. Quickly, she glances around the room. Spotting Joanne, she instantly withdraws it. But it's too late. Joanne has seen her. There she is, Joanne exclaims. She starts toward her. I've got a few things to say to that little... I can only guess what they are. But I know they won't be flattering. I step in front of her. This is a party, Joe. I raise my hand. You know, a time to be happy and glad. Let bygones be bygones, and old differences be forgot. Besides, do you really want to start something with somebody who's got a friend that looks like that? We both stare at Darla Miller's brother. Illuminated by the light above the bar, the spikes on his collar gleam threateningly. Joanne reconsiders. Well, maybe I'll just wait until she's alone. Good plan. I pride myself on picking intelligent friends. The door to the patio is open. Outside sit Sarah McMurtry, Shauna Whitaker, Carol Sanchez, Darla Miller, and a bunch of guys they don't know. I leave Joanne and go outside to join them. The air is fresh and sweet in the backyard, being right on the edge of the canyon. I talk for quite a while with all of them, even Sarah McMurtry. She no longer holds a grudge over the Barbie doll haircutting thing. She tells me so, and I hold no grudge against her. It hardly seems worth it. When you're saying something as big as, "So long, enjoy the rest of your life," to someone, small things can be forgotten. And that really is what we're doing. It's true, some of us will be going to the same high school, but probably only a few of us will keep in touch. The talk turns to clothes, specifically graduation dresses. Carol bought hers at Holt Renfrew. Her sister helped pick it out. Shauna got hers at some boutique on Robson. The owner is a friend of her mom's, and Sarah's mom is sewing hers. Turning toward the canyon, I drift away from them. Here I am at a party, getting that sad, all alone again feeling. I go inside to try and shake it off. Mike's dad is just coming down the stairs carrying about 10 boxes of pizza. I help him organize them on the pool table after we cover it in plastic cloth. I arrange the paper plates and serviettes so people can help themselves, as Mr. Ortega says, efficiently. He keeps on making this deal about what a great helper I am, how he wishes Mike would be like that. That causes Mike to give me the evil eye. I just say thanks. I don't tell him how deserted I am feeling inside. How when I feel like this, keeping busy is the only way I can hang on. Joanne and I start this game counting how many pieces of pizza everyone eats, and how fast. Carl Jenkins wins with eight ham and pepperoni in half an hour. He slurps down 2 cans of pop, plops in the center of the couch, produces this enormous gross burp. There is a distinct rumble from the other end. Ugh! Joanne grimaces. I still can't believe I let that walrus get close to me. I remember her necking with Carl last fall at Darla Miller's party. See what a few beer and several Kahlua get you? Carl Jenkins with all the sound effects. But she isn't paying attention to me. She's looking towards the open garage door. Oh, look who's here. Right on time. 2 hours later than everyone else. Danielle Higgins. We watch Danielle sweep into the room and stumble over a chair. Says Joanne. That wasn't too graceful. I don't think she can walk straight. Seems like she's already loaded up on punch, and not the strawberry kind. Danielle picks herself up. She gives the chair a kick like it had positioned itself just to trip her. Behind her, Matt Layton sets it straight. Standing in the center of the room, Danielle stretches up tall. She reaches her arms high above her head to form a Y. She stays like that, waiting for our attention. We are already more or less quiet, anyways, still intrigued by her entrance into the room. Happy graduation, everybody, is what I think she says before she loses her balance and Matt steers her to a chair. I hear him quietly tell her to get a grip. Why she insisted on coming like this was just not fair to Mike. He suggests that he take her home. She laughs at the suggestion. That's when I turn away. I'm angry at her for humiliating Matt like this. I continue talking to Joanna Mandeep. I can only hear the commotion as Danielle asks for a drink. A real drink, not that prissy pink stuff with that cherry or whatever is bobbing up and down, making her seasick. All right, I hear Mike mutter. He appeases her by sneaking one of his dad's beer from the fridge. Keep it low, please. My mom will blow a fuse if she finds out. Joanne is watching all of this over my shoulder. What a miserable, self-centered bit. I warn her, because behind her, Mrs. Ortega is bounding cheerfully down the stairs as I step forward. Oh, look, Mrs. Ortega is bringing us some games to play. Joe, Mandeep, Danny, Twister, anyone? It's not so much as a question as a strong suggestion. I don't know why, but I feel it's my duty to protect Matt by drawing attention, specifically Mrs. Ortega's attention, away from Danielle. Mrs. Ortega sets her arm full of boxes down. She claps her hands together and looks happily around the room. Satisfied that everyone is having a good time, she returns back upstairs. Nobody actually plays the games because we decide to social dance instead. We do the foxtrot to Metallica, the swing to Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the cha-cha to Radiohead. Mike pretends to be Mr. Bartell. With Joanne's eyeliner, he draws several scraggles on his chin. We all get a turn to dance with him, but after several songs he needs to take a break. His eyes are sore and blurry from stretching them out of his head. I do the tango with Danny, I waltz with Tony, I do the polka with John, to Beck. That last one's a real challenge. Now I need to cool off. I grab a Coke and head for the patio, where most of those who aren't dancing have now gravitated. I sit down with Linda and Joanne. In the last half hour, they have become friends again. Is she still in there? Joanne asks me. Who? Danielle, the major witch. We're planning her end. Oh, yeah, what are you going to do? Melt her? Linda laughs. If only it was that easy. No, but something like that. It's got to be really big. We're thinking of some psychological approach. We'll sit around her in a big ring, we'll blindfold her, then one by one we'll all recall aloud how she humiliated us. That won't work, I offer. Do you really want to live through the humiliation again? Because that's what will happen. It won't bother her. She'll get off on it. She'll probably just sit there with a big smirk. They think about this. Says Joanne. Yeah, you're probably right. Well, she purses her lips. Wrinkles appear on her forehead. Okay, what about this? We're changing out of our gym strip. Linda, you move into the hall. Pam, you stand in the doorway. When Danielle's naked, I'll give you the signal. Pam, you pass it to Linda. Linda, you pull the fire alarm. In the confusion, I'll steal Danielle's clothes, and she'll have to run out of the school naked or in a towel or whatever. Linda and I are not impressed. No, that's weak, I say. Linda agrees. Too many things could go wrong. Besides, Danielle would love it. It'd give her another chance to flaunt what she's got. Hey, Pam. A voice interrupts our conspiring circle. I look up to see where it's coming from. Matt Layton is standing tall and slightly stooped, smack in front of me. Well, by now, you know me. You can probably guess my initial reaction is to continue sitting there, just gawking at the delicious guy. Real stupidly, which I do. As do both Joanne and Linda. I quickly perceive this from the absolute silence next to me, but to my credit, I'm also able to revive myself before they do. When this happens, I'm able to mumble, Hi, Matt, although my own voice sounds mega miles away from me. And then I add something else. I say, Why don't you sit down with me? Bold of me, you might think, but there's something like, no kidding, I'll use this word vulnerable in his appearance. Maybe it's just the way his hands are stuffed all in the, all the way into his pockets, like he doesn't know what he's going to do with them. Or maybe it's the way this one piece of hair kind of hangs, kind of like waifishly over one eye. Whatever, I feel this obligation to make him feel comfortable. Thanks, he says. He sits on the patio chair across from me. So, how's Emily? He pulls his chair towards me. He looks to his left, then leans forward with his fingers interlocked, balancing his elbows on his knees. This is to create some intimacy between himself and me, mostly because Joanne and Linda continue to stare at us with their big eyes blinking and their mouths hanging wide open, like two monster caverns, each large enough to house a colony of bats. Reluctantly, they take the hint and pretend to have something to say to each other. She's good, I answer to his question about Emily. She's getting longer. Maybe one day she'll even grow into her ears. Matt listens, but he seems distracted by something. He keeps looking over my shoulder in the direction of the patio doors. That's nice. He starts fidgeting with his fingers, locking them and unlocking them. How's SWAT? There's a bit of a delay before he answers, has to rest like my question has to wrestle with whatever else is occupying his head. Oh good, he's good. More fidgeting. This time he focuses on his watch. I have to ask the obvious. Are you okay? Huh? Yeah. More fidgeting, more silence. It's supposed to snow 6 inches tomorrow. Another delay. Really? That'll be good. His forehead crinkles ever so slightly. Wait, what are you talking about? It's the second week of June. I laugh. Just testing if you're really here. For the first time since he sat down, Matt shows his wonderful grin. Sorry, I guess I'm not thinking very clearly. Inside the house, I hear the music stop. More people file outside, laughing, fanning themselves with their hands, coming to cool off. I lean a little closer to Matt. Is something bothering you? He stops fidgeting. He looks up sort of intently at me, like he's trying to decide if I will understand. I guess he decides that I will. Yeah, it's Danielle. She's not. He glances to his side again at Joanne, who's talking to someone else. Well, let's just say it's not working out, and I don't know how to call it off. She's a very, he fumbles for the right word, determined person. I don't want a big fight. Yes, I have to try real hard to keep a helpful, concerned look when I'm like flying inside. He's almost free, but he's talking to me. Right here, right now, sharing his thoughts. Well, I say, and I bite my lips hard so they don't sneak into a smile and give me away. Why not just stop calling her? After a while, she's likely to get the hint. That would be all right if it wasn't her that's always calling me. We both sit thinking about this, which strikes me as pretty funny considering I've been contemplating something very similar with Joanne and Linda not too long before. Around us, the party is moving on to the patio. It's too warm in the house. Some people are wandering down towards the canyon. Concentrating on Matt's dilemma, we don't really notice the shifting people around us. We don't notice Danielle come up behind Matt until she slaps his arms around his shoulders. There you are. I've been missing you. She's really roasted now. Her hair's a mess and her eyes don't focus on anything. The lipstick she has recently stuck on gives her this crazed sort of look. Let's get out of here. She slobbers all over him. We'll go hide in your basement. No one ever goes down there. Danielle sloppily kisses him on the mouth. I have to turn away. I can't watch anybody be that disgusting. Besides, I know that's what Matt would want me to do. He stands up suddenly, the movement throwing her off his shoulders. Danielle staggers back. Quickly recovering, she comes back with even more force. I know that was an accident, she says angrily. She pushes his body against his again. Matt takes her by the arms. Determinedly, he lifts her off. It was no accident, Danielle. Even in her wasted state, she understands what he's saying to her. He is telling her something nobody has had the guts to tell her before. He's tired of her vanity. Hot flares jump from her hazy eyes. She is all of a sudden absolutely focused, right in his face. You jerk, you lousy creep. How dare you push me away? Danielle gives Matt a shove. You disgusting animal. There was absolute silence. Like nobody moves. Nobody knows what to say. Matt nervously rubs his forehead. Please, Danielle, he pleads quietly. Just let me take you home. He reaches out to touch her. She slaps his hand away hard. Don't touch me. And just who are you playing around with behind my back? Danielle turns her spiteful gaze to me. Her? Like she can't believe it. That nobody? Okay. This is getting way too nasty. I rise from my chair. Joanne jumps to her feet beside me. Danielle's eyes narrow as she talks to Matt, but she doesn't lift her eyes from mine. Her voice is cutting and much steadier than her body. Do you know something about her? She's a nutcase. She comes from a family of them. Her mother was as demented as they come. That's enough, Danielle. Matt's tone is flat and demanding. No, she ignores him. She moves a little farther away from him and a little closer to me. I don't think you know this about her, and you should if you're going to mess around with her. Her mother was a kook, crazy, psychotic, a serious wacko. Last year, this will make you laugh, she took a swan dive off the suspension bridge. Danielle, Matt orders. Still, I see him look at me. He didn't know. He had absolutely no idea. Do you really want to get involved with someone as mentally crippled as that? Joanne lunges forward, about to tear her evil heart out. I catch her by the arm and pull her back. I hold her there while she spits and swears. My eyes are stinging, my head is spinning. I feel suffocated by this major lump swelling in my throat. I fight hard, harder than I fought for anything in my life, to hold the tears back. Several people around me are really angry. Joanne, Linda, Sarah, John, these people, my friends. Matt tells Danielle it's time she learned to keep her great fat mouth shut. Mike tells her to get the hell out of his house. The rest just don't know what to say. I stand there numb for what seems to be an eternity. Hearing the anger grow around me, it's because of me it started. It is up to me to put an end to it. Danielle's words have torn a soft wound wide open, but I'm not going to bleed all over everybody. Not on Danielle's account, not for her entertainment. I step forward. Danielle. My voice sounds distant and thankfully detached. Everyone stops and listens. I have to say something we're saying, something profound, something deadly, something killing. You, something that proves I win. You are, I hesitate only a moment. You are a doofus. Yes, I picked Jen's word. The thing is, I don't swear. Years ago, my mom told me it's not necessary to be vulgar to get your point across. You're more persuasive if you're not rude in someone's face, so I don't. But still, I needed something really obnoxious, and doofus was the last obnoxious word I had in my head, thanks to Jen. At first, there's astonished silence around me, then a few snickers, then uproarious laughter from everyone, all at Danielle's expense. She glows red in the darkness, sways a bit, and drops lifelessly into a chair. The laughter continues. But I don't laugh with them. The wound inside aches painfully. I can't continue to keep the tears from spilling out. I know I'm very close to falling apart. Before it happens, I want to be far, far away from here. I head for the door. But before I get to it, there's a shout from down by the canyon. We hear it again, this time several steps closer. Hey! It's Danny Kim. Hey! He and Mandeep stumble breathlessly onto the patio. Danny is carrying something. Look what I found! He holds up a small pink sweater. That's all it takes. At the sight of the small pink sweater, the tears I've been stifling come rushing out. I duck through the door. I run through the basement, through the garage, and I don't stop until I'm at my own house. Dad and Jen are watching a movie in the living room. I charge past them straight to my bedroom where I crumple onto my bed. How could anyone in this world be so mean and so horrible? Within minutes, I am nothing but a damp, sobbing mess. Dad and Jen appear at the door.